Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to another session of another installment of Mind at Home. I am Mind Mover Monique. I'm one of the science communicators of the Mind Museum. So I hope you're all doing well this morning. We have another installment of Mind at Home ready for you everywhere, wherever you are at home. So um, we want to help slow down the spread of the disease, COVID-19, and we want to help flatten the curve and help our healthcare system be able to cope and take care of all the people who are getting this disease. So that means we all have to stay at home as much as possible. Okay, hang on. I apologize. We appear to be having some technical difficulties. Can we see again? All right, hang on. All right. Hang on. Let me just. Okay. I think we're doing okay now. I think our. All right. So I apologize for that. We've had some technical difficulties. All right. So again, we all want to slow down the spread of the disease COVID-19 and flatten the curve. So all of us are being asked to stay at home as much as possible. So that means right now we cannot go to museums. So the Mind Museum is still closed. We still cannot go there. That's why we Mind Movers are also still at home as well. We cannot go to school. We cannot go outside. We cannot go to buy anything except for essential items like food, groceries, and medicines. So even though in many places of the country, the stay-at-home orders have already been eased up, there's a lot more freedom for authorized people to go out of their homes. We should always remember that the virus is still out there. So it's still being spread. It's still infecting a lot of people. So just because some of us are allowed to go outside, we should still stay at home as much as possible. So only go outside if it's really necessary. And if you do, remember that you should always wear your mask, wear a face mask properly, and do not touch your face. And you should always, or you should frequently wash your hands with soap and running water for at least 20 seconds. All right, so while we're all stuck at home, especially for a lot of our students, a lot of our kids, we're being asked to stay at home. What can we do to have fun, and can we still learn while staying at home? So of course we can. So with Mind at Home, we are trying to bring you science activities, simple science activities that you can do at home so that you can still have fun and you can learn and make something using materials that you probably already have at home. So if you have any questions for our Mind at Home session today, please be sure to ask them in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them during our Mind at Home session, or if not, we'll try to answer them through the comments later on as well. Okay, so for today's session, we're going to be looking at something that's all around us. Okay, so it's something that we think, well, we're not going to be looking at it exactly because it's something that we don't see. So what are we going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at something that's actually what we call wind. All right, so what is wind? Wind is moving air. Basically, that's what it is. So the earth is surrounded by a layer of air that we call the atmosphere. And the air molecules are always moving. So the atmosphere is made up of countless very, very small molecules of air, so we cannot see them with our own eyes. And these molecules of gas, or the molecules in the air, are always floating and moving around us. No? So sometimes these molecules of gas hit each other. Sometimes they hit other things as well. So they hit trees, they hit our buildings, they hit our skin, they hit us as well. And if there are enough of these air molecules hitting us, moving fast enough or with strongly enough for us to feel them, that's what we feel as wind. That's what we experience as wind. So wind can have many different strengths or speeds. Sometimes all we feel is a gentle breeze. We can see just the grass moving, swaying or moving a bit. Sometimes it's a bit stronger, so we can feel the strong wind uh, when we're uh, when we're outside, and it helps us to dry our clothes when we have laundry being dried up, or it helps us feel cool on a hot summer day. But sometimes wind can also be very strong. When we have hurricanes, we can see that the wind, together with the rain, is strong enough or fast enough to even uproot trees, or it can cause damage in our surroundings. So wind can do a lot of things for us. It can help us cool down. It can help our sweat evaporate faster. It can help us dry certain things. And it can even cause some things that we don't really like. It's a bit of a negative thing because it can cause some destruction as well. But we also know that because wind is strong enough to do this, it's strong enough to pull out trees, and it's strong enough to make things fly away. We know that wind has a lot of energy that we can harness or that we can use. So this energy that's in the wind um, can come in different forms. So energy comes in different forms, and we actually use up a lot of energy all the time in our daily lives. So we need electricity to power all of the appliances and all of our gadgets that we use at home and at school and at work, to light up the lights in our homes. We need also energy in terms of fuel for our cars and other transportation. We also need food. So food is also a way to store energy. So food is a type of energy that our bodies need for us to be able to do things, for us to be able to walk and talk and do things that we do every day. So energy is something that powers our lives. And because we use so much of this energy, we are always trying to find ways to have cheaper or even free sources of energy. And ideally, it would be something that is not going to harm our environment. So it should be something that is uh, helpful to us because we are the ones who are using that energy. But it should also be uh, good for the environment as well. So we try not to destroy anything in the environment or use up anything in our environment. So one of these things that we can use is the wind. We can use the wind as a source of energy, and we can harness this energy. But how do we do that? We wonder, how can we catch the wind? It's just blowing past us all the time. How can we catch that and use that as energy for something else? Well, actually, humans have been doing that already for a long, long time. So humans have been doing that with the use of windmills. So a windmill is actually something that humans have been using for hundreds of years. So since the 1800s, there have been windmills around the world. And traditionally, windmills were used to use the energy of the wind to mill or to grind grain. So grain such as corn or rice or wheat. So the wind would blow on the vanes of our windmill. So it's the vanes are the things that look like blades, or it looks like things on an electric fan, right? So the wind would blow on these, and these would move a shaft or a system inside the windmill so that it would grind the different types of grain. So this is actually what they do to mill rice. corn and wheat to remove the outer layer of these types of grain so that we can eat the edible and softer layers inside. And they can even grind these up even further for us to get flour. So we have our wheat flour, or what we use for baking. We can have our rice flour and our corn flour even. So these are things that we do, and humans have been using windmills to make these things for hundreds of years. And an adaptation of this is here on the right. We have another picture. So this is actually what we call a wind pump. So it uses the same idea. It catches the wind to turn these blades around, and this will actually move a shaft to pump water from a well. So humans have also been using this for hundreds of years so that they can pump water from underground so that they can bring it up to the surface so they can water their plants and their crops so that we can also get more food. So this is something that's very old already. People have been using it for a long time. So we can use the power of the wind to power or to move a windmill so that we can create mechanical energy, or what we call movement. So it's able to move the grinding stones or the mill stones to mill our grains, and it's able to move a pump so that we can get water from underground. So that's a very old technology, or relatively old technology. But we also have other types of technology. We can also use wind in other ways. So one of the more recent ones, we've only been using these for I'm within the last 100 years, so a few decades. We actually use wind turbines. So a wind turbine looks a bit like this in the photo. What we see in the photo, it kind of looks like an electric fan, right? So a wind turbine works when wind passes through or wind passes around it. It will also rotate the blades. So it's the blades. It's a bit like an electric fan. It will turn this, and this will move a rotor and the machinery inside the wind turbine, so that it will turn the movement caused by wind. It will turn this into electricity. So if you think about it, it's a bit like the reverse of an electric fan. No, so if you plug in an electric fan, and so you plug it into our source of electricity, and then we turn it on, the electricity is what turns the rotor, turns the motor so that the blades will spin in a circle, and we feel the wind coming at us. And a wind turbine works sort of in the reverse order. So the wind is what moves the rotors, or the blade, and this is what will make electricity that we can then store or transmit for use somewhere else. So we can make these big wind turbines. They will basically just catch the energy of the wind, and we can make this into electricity that we can use for other things, maybe an electric fan that you have at home. No, so this type of technology is something that we can also use. So we've been using wind for hundreds of years already to mill grain, to pump water, and to generate electricity. And these technologies are improving all the time. So scientists and engineers around the world are always innovating and designing and building more efficient wind turbines so that we can harness greater amounts of renewable energy every year from sources like the wind. Because, of course, the wind is free. It's just blowing all around us. We don't have to pay anyone for us to feel the wind. So it's a great source of energy for us if we can harness all of that wind all around the world to power our lives and the energy that to provide for the energy that we need every day. So we know that humans have been doing this, and how can we see what it looks like? So today we're going to be making our own pinwheels at home just to see how these wind turbines and windmills work. All right, so I'm going to stop our sharing now so that you can see what we're going to make today. All right, so we're going to be making our own windmills. And to do this, you're going to need some materials. So what you're going to need are, you need a piece of paper. So you need a square piece of paper like this. You're going to need maybe some pens or a marker, a ruler, and some scissors. Okay, and you're going to need as well Because it's called a pinwheel, you're going to need a pin. But of course, if we want to be safe, if you want to avoid getting pricked or getting poked by a pin, you can actually just use a toothpick or a barbecue stick, no? Or even sometimes a pencil or a pen will work just fine. All right, so how do we make our windmill? So first you need a square piece of paper, like what I have here. And first you're going to make some creases or some folds. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it from corner to corner. All right, so we're going to fold it like this. So I have it pre-folded already. And you're going to make it into a triangle. All right, so it forms a triangle. Then you're going to open it up. And then you're going to fold it the other way as well. So now we have two creases. So it's two diagonal creases. So actually, if you look at it, if you open it up, you'll see that there is an X. No, there's a folded X on your square piece of paper. So what you're going to do next is you're going to take a pen or a marker, and you're going to draw some lines. No, but you're not going to draw the line all the way across. So you can use your ruler. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to look from the middle of your X or the middle of your square up to one corner. You're going to find around 2/3 of the way. So starting at the corner, going to the middle, you're going to look, this is around 1/3 from here to here, and this is another third. So you're going to draw a line from the corner to the 2/3 point around here. So you can actually mark this with your pen. So I'm going to mark it with my pen. Okay. So you're going to trace the line from this end up to here. And you're going to do this for all four lines, no, or all four corners of your paper. Okay, so I have a sample already here. So I have here a piece of paper with the lines. So it's from here to the middle, it's around 2/3 or maybe 3/4 of the way going toward the middle. And then what you're also going to do is you're going to look at one of your corners. So you have a line here. If you look at the corner, you're going to draw a dot in one of the corners, but only on one side. So here, if my line is in the middle, I'm drawing a dot on the left side. So I drew a dot here on the left side. And you're going to draw the same dot, the same place on all four corners. So my other corners also have a dot on the left side. Okay, so they all have a dot on the left side. So it looks a bit like this. And also you're going to draw a dot in the middle. So what are you going to do now? Now that you have your square piece of paper with your lines and your dots, you're going to cut on the straight lines. Okay, so you're going to use your scissors. You're going to cut on the straight lines. So because we drew the line and we didn't go all the way to the middle, you're going to just stop there where your line ends as well. So you're not going to cut all the way to the middle. You're just going to cut until here. And you're going to do this for all four sides as well. So what about the dots? What are you going to do with the dots? You have the 4 dots in the corners and the 1 dot in the middle. So this is where your pin, so I have here a push pin, or you can use a toothpick even. You're going to use your toothpick or your pin, and you're going to poke a hole on those dots. So if I poke a hole here, okay, so I poked a hole using my toothpick, so my toothpick is still inside. So you poke a hole and you remove it. So you have a hole here on this corner. And you're going to do the same thing for the other corners as well and for the middle. So I have one here that's already done. So I've cut it up. So I have it seems like there's 4 cuts. So it seems like the triangles are about to fall off, but of course they're all still connected in the middle. And I also have the 4 dots on the different sides. So what you're going to do now to make your pinwheel is, again, you can use your pen or you can use your toothpick, and you're going to put the hole back, put it through the holes again, and you're going to bring the hole to the middle. You're going to bring the hole here. Oh, hang on. You're going to bring the hole here, and then you're going to bring the rest of them in as well. So if you notice, we said earlier that we're only going to draw the dots or make the holes on one side. That will actually influence the shape of our pinwheel, and this is what will make it into a pinwheel. So what I'm doing now is I'm bringing the four corners in, and I'm going to poke it through as well. So if you look at it, because we only put the holes in one side, so on one side of the cut, it's going to look like this. Since we're only going to bring in one side, we're going to have a four-veined or a four-armed pinwheel. No? So it looks like this. So I have my pin in the middle, and our pinwheel looks like this. So you can also try to see, earlier we put the dot on the left side of the line. If you try to put the dots on the right side of the line, sorry, right side of the line, then our pinwheel will also be facing the other way. So our vanes will be facing the other way. And you can experiment as well how it will turn. So our windmill kind of looks like, the blades of an electric fan or the blades of our windmills and our wind turbines. And you'll actually be able to test that this will turn. No? So I have our pin here, or you have your toothpick. You can actually try blowing in front of your windmill or to the side, and you can see it turn. So let's see if this one will work. Oh, oh, there. All right. So we see that if you blow, you just need to control, no, or you can experiment how strongly you need to blow, how fast does the wind have to be moving for you to be able to turn your windmill. So you'll notice that if you blow through too strongly, if you use too much air, it's too fast, the windmill will actually wobble and it might even break, no? But if you blow too softly as well, it will not turn, so it won't be strong enough. So you have to find just the right amount of wind or just the right strength of wind for your windmill to turn. And you can actually stick this on something else. All right, so I have here a recycled cardboard tube. So you can put your pinwheel on that. I poked a hole earlier. Oh, it's a bit stuck. Hang on, let me try again. Get that a bit stuck. Oh, okay. So my pinwheel doesn't want to be working with me right now. But that's all right. You can experiment at home. You can use your toothpicks. You can try sticking your pinwheel onto the end of a pencil. So if you have a pencil with an eraser at the end, you can poke the back of your pinwheel onto the eraser, and then you hold the pencil, and you can use that as your pinwheel as well. So we said earlier that windmills and wind turbines will actually rotate, and we can use that to store energy, or we can use that to move things, no? So how do we see that? We can actually see that on our pinwheel as well. So I have here another pinwheel, and what I've done is I've stuck it onto a barbecue stick, all right? So that it's a bit longer, so I have something to hold on to. I have a pinwheel here, and on the other end of the barbecue stick, I've actually tied a piece of string. Okay, I've tied a piece of string. You can use any string that you have. And I tied something light to the end of it. So I have here a big paper clip. So you can try to test as well. And we're going to see what happens. If I blow on our pinwheel, it's going to turn. And we're going to see what happens to our paper clip, right? So our paper clip is tied to the string, which is tied to our barbecue stick as well. So if I blow, all right, so we see that when we blow, or when I exhaled some air, blew some air onto our pinwheel, it actually turned our pinwheel. And aside from turning our pinwheel, it also rotated or turned our barbecue stick, which was able to wind the string around it, and it pulled our paper clip up. So we can see that our windmill is actually able to move things. No, we can move things. In this case, we were able to lift our paper clip up, and we can actually turn this into other types of energy. So that's what our wind turbines do. They take this movement or the rotation of our pinwheel, and they make it into movement. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to blow again, and we're going to see that this rotation is enough for us to lift our paper clip. All right, so it's able to lift our paper clip. And if you want to try this at home as well, so it's just a barbecue stick on our paper pinwheel, you can try experimenting as well with different types of material. So I just have regular construction paper here. if you can try with a different type of paper or maybe a thicker type of paper like cardboard, you'll try to see if that will have a difference. If you have a thinner piece of paper, will it work? And you can also try experimenting with different things, different things tied to your uh, pinwheel setup to see what's the heaviest thing that your pinwheel can carry, because I'm only using a light paper clip here. And of course, there will be a limit to how much your windmill will be able to carry. So I don't think our windmill will be able to carry 1 kilo of something, no, a kilo of rice or something. I think it would be too heavy. Maybe our windmill would break and it wouldn't be able to carry that. So this is something you can do at home. You can make different designs with your windmills, and this is a great demonstration of how the wind the energy of wind can be harnessed for us to um, make store into energy, make it into electricity, or even grind things or do work like lifting our paper clip in this example. All right, so now we're going to look at some questions. We have some questions from some of our viewers. We have a question from Facebook. We have, can wind turbines be used anywhere as a source of energy, or does it only work in high altitude places with lots of wind? All right, so that's a very good question. No? So if we try to think about it, of course, a windmill or a wind turbine would only work in a place where there's wind, right? So usually, for it to become efficient, we want the wind turbine to be placed somewhere where there is a strong enough wind, and there should be strong wind uh, consistently, or at least most of the time. No, we don't want to put a windmill in a place where there's only wind a few hours of the day or only a few times a year. No, so we want to put our wind turbines um, somewhere where there's a lot of wind. So a lot of the wind turbines that are installed and in use around the world today are actually placed, some of them are placed offshore, what we call offshore. That means they're placed on the ocean. No? So there are rigs, or there are places where they install these giant wind turbines. So wind turbines can be very, very big. They can be up to 50 meters across. So the size of the blade can be very, very long. These are actually placed in the ocean, no? Also offshore, so that because there's always a strong wind near above the water, above the ocean. A lot of wind turbines are also placed near coasts, so near the beaches, near cliffs, and things like that, and as well as near mountains, because the very shape of the mountain actually forces air to go upwards, up the mountain, and that's actually part of our water cycle as well. So it creates our clouds. So because there's always a lot of wind there, and the wind is usually strong enough, that's where we put oh hang on, that's where we put our wind turbines. So technically we could put our wind turbines anywhere, but of course we try to put our wind turbines in places where they will be more efficient and we can get more energy. So because wind turbines as of now actually cost a bit of money to make, but once they're already installed, as long as there is strong enough wind, they will be able to collect and store energy. So we try to put them in places where it will not interrupt our lives, and where they will be able to collect as much energy as they can. So that's why you'll usually find them in places that there's a lot of strong wind. All right. So actually there are some so different wind turbines. There are actually many different designs of wind turbines. The most familiar one to the public is like the ones I showed earlier in our pictures. It's the one that look like they have sticks sticking out, so their blades look like the electric fans, no? So that's one of the most common designs of wind turbines. But there are also other designs of wind turbines as well. There are ones that don't rotate in that direction. They actually rotate around the central shaft. So there are different designs of wind turbines, and different designs of wind turbines will require different speeds of wind. So that's why we try to place wind turbines in ideal locations, because some of these designs require wind to be around 20 kilometers per hour. So the wind has to be moving quite fast. It has to be a moderate to a strong wind for the wind turbines to be able to move and generate electricity. So if we're in a place where the wind is not so strong, the wind is very gentle most of the time, it will not actually be so efficient. No, we won't be able to get as much energy as well. So wind turbines, if you have a lot of them, actually, we have another, it's another thing that we can think about. If you have enough wind turbines, of course, we don't want to use just one wind turbine because that won't be very efficient. We won't be able to get a lot of that. We actually can have a lot of wind turbines together, especially if we know that that place has a lot of fast, strong wind and it's consistent. If we put a lot of wind turbines together, we actually call this a wind farm. All right. So there are wind farms even here in the Philippines. So around the world, there are lots of wind farms, but there are some wind farms even here in the Philippines. So the Philippines also has some wind turbines as well. So actually, if you maybe some of you have been to those. I know some of my friends have visited, have taken pictures. We have wind farms here in the Philippines as well. You can actually see those things, and they're actually a lot bigger than you'd think they are. When you see them, they're pretty big. So I think it's called. There's wind farms in Ilocos. Um, we have the Caparispisan Wind Farm and the Burgos Wind Farms. No, so these are in the north part of the Philippines, in Luzon, where we have our mountains and we have a lot of coastline. So we also have a lot of winds. No, so we have these wind farms in the Philippines, and we can actually build. We can try to push um our utilities, our energy providers, and the government to try to use up more of these windmills, no, or wind farms, wind turbines in the Philippines. So there are some. Okay, so I have some notes here. Apparently, we also have a lot of wind farms. There are some in Rizal. There are some in Guimaras. So it's anywhere in the Philippines, because the Philippines is surrounded by a lot of ocean, a lot of water, and we have lots of mountains. We have a lot of places where it would be ideal to put a wind farm, no, or a wind turbine. So actually, based on um, some data or some statistics released by the Philippine Department of Energy, in 2019, so that's the data that we have. In 2019, only around 20% of all of the energy or all of the electricity that was generated in the Philippines came from renewable sources. So this 20% out of all of the energy that we created and we used in the Philippines, is a combination already of the other renewable sources as well, like solar, hydropower, wind, and geothermal power. No? So we can always try to ask for more. We support more of our officials, and we support the scientists, and we support these people who are trying to develop more efficient windmills so that we can also start getting more renewable and even free, as long as the windmills aren't broken, we can have a free source of energy because there's always wind around us. So these are some things that we can think about. No, we usually don't think about where the electricity comes from, but it can actually come from something that's already all around us. No, the wind that we feel every day when we go outside, we can actually make that into something useful, as long as we get more wind turbines and windmills around us. No, so that's something that we can do as Filipinos. We can try to push for more sources of wind energy so that we can get more of that in our country. So um yes, that's some other those are things that we can do with wind. No, so it's not just something that you hope for when it's a hot day and you just hope for wind. Wind can be so much more useful than that. It can actually give us power or electricity, to do other things in our life, so it can be very, very useful. All right, so I think so far we don't have any other questions. If you have any more questions, so even after this live stream has ended, the video will be up on the Mind Museum's Facebook page. You can continue to ask your questions in the comments, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. No, so I think now that we have no more questions, I hope that You'll be able to make your own windmills at home. So you can use recycled paper, scratch paper. You can even do tests to see if you have any old magazines or old newspapers, um, to see if they will also be effective in making a windmill that can turn like this. All right. So remember, everyone, you're at home. We're also at home wherever you are, wherever you're staying in the Philippines. When you're while you're at home, to always wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Stay at home as much as possible. Only go out if it's necessary. If any adults need to go to work, or if you need to go out to buy food or supplies or any medicines. Make sure you always avoid touching your face, you wear a face mask, and you always protect yourselves. You know, always wash your hands and use alcohol as a sanitizer. So while everyone's at home, please follow the Mind Museum on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our other social media, so that you can be updated with more Mind at Home videos and activities that you can do. We have more experiments coming up. If ever you do any of our experiments, please feel free to take a video or to take photos and to post them as well. So you can tag, that's at the Mind Museum, and we'd love to see you trying our activities at home as well. So once again, this has been Mind Mover Monique. Um, be sure to catch our next installment of Mind at Home. That will be on Wednesday at 11 a.m. here on the Facebook page of the Mind Museum. So I'm going to be here at home playing with my pinwheel, and I hope you guys will be able to make this as well. It's very easy. It's just a piece of paper, no, and a toothpick. You can do this at home. So we hope you enjoy. We hope you still have fun while you're at home, and we hope that everyone stay safe wherever you are at home. All right. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on Wednesday for our next installment of Mind at Home. Bye, everyone.